Katrina, Mr. Trump made this decision to shake up his campaign on his own without his children's advice. Does that mean they're out?
No, not at all. In fact, earlier reporting on CNN is that it was his children who made the decision. Look, Mr. Trump has discussions and meetings with all of his
Initially, we thought
staff.
that, but we got new information. I just want to clarify, we got new information that this was Mr. Trump's decision, not his children's.
Every decision is Mr. Trump's decision, and that's what seems to be lost in translation here. These individuals were not just brand new people that have been brought into the campaign, and Kellyanne Conway's been around for a very long time and has a relationship with Mr. Trump. She was a fantastic addition to the team. There is no shakeup. No one is out. Everyone retains their position. He's just adding to the campaign, which is something that we've been doing all along the way. We needed someone to fill the campaign manager position, and Mr. Trump chose Ms. Conway.
Okay, so Maria, you heard our early reporting on Steve Bannon in particular. So the attacks on Mrs. Clinton are sure to escalate. How might the Clinton campaign react?
Well, I think they need to be ready for what is going to be, I believe, one of the nastiest, most rabid, scorched earth campaigns that we have seen in our lifetime, that is going to leave nothing but a wake of negativism, rancor, and divisiveness in the country. And the Clinton campaign needs to be ready for that. And I think clearly they have been, because they've seen from the beginning that the only thing that Donald Trump has to serve up are those kinds of negative, divisive rhetoric. And we have seen how that has been very negative for him in the polls. Clearly, it worked for him during the primary, but what I don't think he understands, and what he's doubling down on with these changes, especially with Steve Bannon, is that it worked for him to get 14 million votes during the Republican primary season. It's going to do nothing to add to that base of support. And in fact, what he's been doing is he's been losing support among key demographics that he desperately needs in order to win.
Okay, so let's talk about
these
those key demographics, and I want to pose this question to Jason Johnson. So Mr. Trump reached out to African American voters last night, right? He's having problems with women. Do any of the additions in your mind to his campaign help with those key demographic groups?
Well, no. And this is the problem. It's classic Trump. It's a good move on the surface, but right as you kind of open up the trunk, you're like, oh my gosh, this is going to be a mess. You know, Bannon is a good selection. These are smart people. These are capable people. They're going to help him in media. The problem is the Breitbart site itself. This is a site that's been under hate watch. This is a site that's been known to have racist and provocative things. One of their writers was kicked off Twitter for attacking Leslie Jones for being the Black Ghostbuster. And once those things come out, this move that may be smart on the surface is going to end up harming him again with Latinos and African Americans and young people. So Trump has taken 5 steps forward and 7 steps back.
And Katrina, Mr. Trump also has to do better among Republicans. And I just want to run this by you. The Resurgence, which is a conservative website, the writer Jason Taylor is aghast at the changes in the Trump camp. He writes this morning, quote, "Go flat out crazy, have those big rallies, spew BS, toss out the teleprompter, good times. Once again, the GOP doubles down on the stupid, and now the clown car has run off the tracks. The implosion of the conservative party continues in an unstoppable chain reaction." So Trump being Trump is not even winning over a good number of Republicans. So how can this be a good move?
Well, because the media and many on the right who have always been vocal against Mr. Trump have been writing this campaign's obituary for over 400 days, and it hasn't worked yet. Now, the thing is, when we are talking about campaign additions, and I know CNN is focusing on Bannon for whatever reason. He's not in charge of communications. He's just the CEO. He's run several successful companies in the past. He's running it as a business, which people also complain about. But we never
he has a prominent role in
Hillary Clinton.
He has a prominent role now in the Trump campaign. So it's not like he's just like a...
But that brings me to my next point, Carol. But that brings me to my next point. We have not spent nearly as much time talking about Hillary Clinton's campaign infrastructure, particularly Uma Abedin and her dual role at the State Department and the Clinton Foundation.
And I know you want to deflect, and I appreciate that because that's your job.
Tony and their direct ties to the Russian government. We spend so much time talking about Russia. There is no connection with Mr. Trump, but there is definitely a connection with Hillary Clinton. Yeah, let's talk about John Podesta. Let's talk about his brother Tony. Let's talk about the banks that they're involved with. Let's talk about the boards that they sit on. We're not talking about that here on CNN because we just want to focus on Mr. Trump.
Donald Trump just shook up his campaign for the second time in the 2-month period.
He added. Donald Trump adds people to his campaign. No one's out. When you shake up your campaign, that usually means someone is out, Carol. This was announced as an expansion. I can point to several messages we have sent out on the campaign website under press releases. We've had multiple expansions of this campaign, but for some reason, CNN is probably the only one reporting that there's some shakeup that's happening. No one is out.
I dare to suggest this. I dare to suggest this, that no one was ousted simply because Mr. Trump didn't want this to appear to be a shakeup.
Right.
Carol, if I could
Not
jump in here, anybody who knows anything about presidential politics and how campaigns are run knows that this is a shakeup, and that sure, they're not calling it a shakeup, they're calling it an expansion. Call it whatever you want. It is absolutely a shakeup because Donald Trump is terrified of the polls. He knows he is losing, but here's the problem: he's doubling down on a strategy that focuses on subtraction as opposed to addition. Forget African Americans, forget Latinos. Let's talk about college-educated white women, which Hillary Clinton is now winning by 23 points, and Mitt Romney won them by 14 points and lost the election. There is no path right now. There's no credible path to 270, and what he has done today makes that path even more narrow.
Well, I have to bring up Roger Ailes at this point.
You know, if you had an Olympic relay team and you said suddenly we're bringing in people at the last minute, you would think there's something wrong with Michael Phelps. And that's pretty much what's happening here. When you're adding this many new people this late in the game, it's a bad sign. We said the same thing about Hillary Clinton when she started adding people after losing to Bernie Sanders. Those are just the facts of how a campaign operates.
Yeah.
So
people have been complaining that the infrastructure was small. We've had holes in there. Corey Lewandowski was gone. We simply filled that position. We brought on a CEO, something we didn't have before. This is not something that people are being replaced. This is an expansion of the team.
Even
We're getting
Fox
ready to
News
run ads.
is calling
We're going
this
into
a
the
shakeup,
debates.
though. Even Fox News is calling this a shakeup.
But that's what I'm saying. It's not a shakeup. This is simply an expansion. We can ignore what the campaign is actually saying and make all the inferences that we want. That seems to be what is called news today. But the facts are we've simply added to the campaign team. There's nothing new there.
Okay, let's talk about Roger Ailes. He's going to advise Donald Trump on the debates. As you know, he left Fox News under this cloud of controversy. 20 women came forward and accused him of sexually harassing them. Donald Trump is having a major problem with women voters. How can Roger Ailes' advice possibly help him?
Well, first, that reporting is also false. Roger Ailes does not have any role, formal or informal, with the campaign or with the debate process. As mentioned before, they have been friends for a very long time, but he has no role in this.
But he is offering Donald Trump advice on his debate performance.
I don't know what they're talking about in private conversations, but he's definitely not playing a role, informal or formal, in the campaign. There's a lot of people that give Donald Trump advice, but that doesn't mean they're part of the campaign.
Jason, does any of this help Donald Trump? Because, you know, if you're losing like 70% of women, you're not going to win.
Right. And this is what we're talking about. This is like saying Obama started ISIS last week. You just need to face facts. Roger Ailes is going to help. He should. He ran a multi-billion-dollar news station that millions and millions of Americans believe in. There's no shame in saying that he's going to help Donald Trump. It's probably not going to help you with women, but Donald Trump wasn't doing well with women to begin with. So that's the kind of issue that we're talking about here. The Trump campaign's greatest weakness, from my perspective, has always been, hey, just own up to stuff. Work with who you're working with and go forward, because when you backtrack like this and you prevaricate and you dance and you sing and dance, it makes you seem less authentic. And that's the one thing that Donald Trump has always been able to sell.
Well, I will say that,
Katrina. But no one's backtracking. I mean, obviously they're friends and they have discussions, but he's not a part of the campaign, and it's being reported that way. So I'm simply correcting the record. Kellyanne Conway is a great addition to the team.
Let Katrina have her say. Please, let Katrina have her say. Go ahead, Katrina, last word.
I was just simply correcting the record. This is being reported that somehow Roger Ailes is a part of the official campaign team, and he's not. If they talk, they talk. They have been friends for decades, but he is not formally or informally involved with the campaign.
All right, I have to leave it there.